students, a very warm welcome from the entire team at BYJU'S Exam Prep. So friends, a lot of you have asked us to conduct a particular session on the basic law relating to contracts.
A very warm welcome.
So since you guys had requested and had asked for an important session on law of contracts, that is a basic law relating to contracts, here we bring to you this important session on law of contracts. Now, I'm sure that most of you are aware that insofar as your Clat examination is concerned, if you see the previous year's question paper, you will definitely find a number of questions coming from law of contracts. A number of questions coming from law of contracts. Henceforth, law of contracts is very, very important for each and every one of you. Law of contracts. Now, the law relating to agreements. Now, we are right now dealing with a commercial law. Now, what is this commercial law? We are talking about transactional law. Laws relating to transaction, buying and selling of goods or commodities in the market. Now, when you go to a market to buy a product, maybe a Maggi, what are the duties of the seller? What are the rights of the seller? What are the duties of the buyer? What are the responsibilities of the buyer? These have all been mentioned under the Indian Contract Act of 1872. So today, we shall be categorically discussing about certain very, very basic aspects relating to law of contracts in India. Okay, so a very, very warm and a hearty welcome to each and every one of you out there. Okay, so let's get started, guys. Let's get started. Okay, so guys, let's begin. Now, before we begin, I want to bring to your notice that BYJU'S Exam Prep, okay, we have successfully helped students crack this particular entrance examination. Now, we have students who have right now who are studying in NLS Bangalore, Nalsar Hyderabad, NUJS Kolkata, and elsewhere across the country. So if you want your name to be in this list, so definitely do follow us and do attend each and every session that are conducted by us. So let's get started. The first one, we are talking about a transactional law, right? We are talking about a transactional law. A transactional law simply means law relating to buying or selling of goods or services. Now, whenever we are doing a business deal or a trade deal, nothing is a free lunch. Now, suppose you go to a shop to buy a mobile phone, right? You require a mobile phone. You go to a shop to buy a mobile phone. Now, there is an object. What are you transacting on? The object, that is the mobile phone. And the seller of the mobile phone, is he giving you that mobile phone free of cost? Of course not. So in return, you are paying him something, XYZ amount, irrespective. So in a transaction, there is always a give and take policy. Somebody is selling dal, somebody is selling rice. Is he giving it to you free of cost? Of course not. He is giving to you, and in return you are giving him that 10 rupee note or that 50 rupee note, 100 rupee note, XYZ amount. Am I clear to each and every one of you? So First and foremost, the beginning, the initiation of a contract, of a transaction, starts with an agreement. So first thing first, let's first understand what do you mean by an agreement and what do you mean by a contract. Now, I am going to ask you this question. What do you understand by a term called agreement? And what do you understand by the term called contract? Now, agreement means when two or more than two people agree to do something. When two or more than two people agree to do something. I agree to sell my mobile phone for rupees 10,000 and you agree to buy this mobile phone for 10,000. Am I clear? So an agreement simply means when two or more than two people, when two or more than two people agree to do a particular thing. Now, what is the meaning of agreement? What is stated over here? Every promise and every set of promises forming consideration for each other. I want to sell my mobile phone. I want to sell my mobile phone for rupees 10,000. Okay. Now, somebody is coming and saying, okay, I'm interested in buying that mobile phone for 10,000. That means there is a promise made by me to give that mobile phone, as well as there is a promise from the buyer to buy that mobile phone, for a particular sum of money. So every promise and every set of promises which are forming consideration for each other, is called an agreement. This is what we understand by the term agreement. Okay. Then, what is the meaning of a contract? Are these two things similar? Of course, they are similar, but yet different. Now, contract are those agreements which can be enforced by law. Mark those words, what I have said. Mark those words. What did I say? An agreement that is enforceable by law. Now, suppose I say that I am going to sell one AK-47. I'm going to give you an AK-47 provided you give me 10 lakh rupees. Now, suppose you have given me 10 lakh rupees. You have given me 10 lakh rupees, but I have not given you that AK-47. Now, can you go to the court? Can you go to the court and tell the judge, dear judge, respected judge, we had an agreement between us that Mr. A is going to give me an AK-47 and in return, I would give him 10 lakh rupees. I have already paid 10 lakh rupees, but this man has yet not given me that AK-47. Can you go to the court and tell this? What will the judge do? Now, this might be an agreement, but is it enforceable by law? Is it legally binding? Is it legally binding? Is this agreement relating to a transaction of an AK-47 binding in the eyes of law? No, it is not. Right. Very good. Very, very good. Very good. Prashant, Harshita, Hariom, Rishi. So, these remain as agreements. These are not enforceable by law. They are not enforceable by law. Now let's understand. What is enforceable by law? Suppose I go to a market to buy a mobile phone for rupees X amount. I have paid that money to buy that mobile phone and the seller has not given me that mobile phone after taking that money. Can I go to a court? Can I go to a court and sue that seller? Of course I can. Of course I can. So that is what we call as a contract. So there is a thin line difference between an agreement and a contract. A thin line. The difference is both are agreements. So to explain, consider this set as an agreement. Okay? And there is a subset over here somewhere which is called contract. So all agreements are not contracts. All agreements are not contracts. But all contracts are agreement. All contracts are agreement. But all agreements are not contract. Only when a agreement becomes legally binding, only when a agreement becomes legally binding, it has the legal enforceability, it becomes a contract. Have I made myself clear to each and every one of you? Okay. Okay, fantastic, fantastic. Great to see you guys. Okay. So guys, keep on liking this particular video and share it with your friends. Okay. Okay. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Now, in this particular session, I'm not going to discuss with you in detail everything, but my objective is to tell you what are those important things that you as a student must be aware of. You as a student must be aware of these important basic things. So mind you guys, at the cost of repetition, let me tell you once again, these classes are of substantial value in nature, but we are not going to cover each and every topic of relating to law of contracts in this session today. If you want to know more, you have to download our BYJU'S Exam Prep app, and then you can get a number of videos that are uploaded out there. Now, coming back to the class. So today, I'm going to explain to you another very important aspect of contract. Now, how does a contract begin? How do a contract or a transaction begin? A transaction or a business contract begin by an offer or a proposal. Now, what do you mean by this word called proposal, and what do you mean by this word called offer? What do you mean by that? Now, let me give you an example. You go to the vegetable market. You go to a vegetable market and you see a seller in that vegetable market shouting on top of his voice and saying, potato 35 rupees a kilo. Now, what does he signify? What is he trying to convey? What is he trying to convey to you? Potato 35 rupees a kilo. Right? Potato 35 rupees a kilo. That means he is willing to sell his potato for 35 rupees a kilo. It's an open offer. You are passing by, you accept the offer and you say that yes, I'm interested in buying 1 kilo of potato for 35 rupees. You buy it. An offer is given to general people at large. An offer which is specifically given to people at large. A general offer. Right? Am I clear? When an offer is given to a specific individual, suppose I make an offer and I say that I want to sell my pen for rupees 10 and I tell Mr. A, I want to sell my pen for rupees 10. Are you interested? So I have made an offer to Mr. A. An offer to Mr. A. An offer is given to Mr. A. Now here is Mr. B. Mr. B says yes. Mr. B says yes. Now, I had given that offer to Mr. A. Did I make the offer to Mr. B? Did I make that offer to Mr. B? No. I gave that offer to Mr. A. How can Mr. B accept my offer? Very simple concept. In the absence of an offer that is given to you, how can you accept it? आपके पास समोसा नहीं है, आप कैसे समोसा खाओगे? Unless and until you have an offer, only then you can accept or reject it. But if you do not have an offer, how can you accept or reject it? Simple. Is that clear? Okay, everyone? Fantastic. So that is what was a specific offer. Then there is a concept called counter offer. I make an offer. I say I want to sell my pen for rupees 100. You say, sir, it is very expensive. I can't buy that pen for rupees 100. But I don't mind buying that pen for rupees 90. Mr. A says, I want to sell my pen for rupees 100. Mr. B says, no, I cannot buy that pen for rupees 100, but I can buy for rupees 90. Now, any modification to the original offer. So that means you are creating a new offer. The buyer is giving an offer to the seller by changing the original offer. Bargaining process of bargaining. That is called the concept of counter offer. This is precisely what we understand by the concept of a counter offer. And then you have invitation to an offer. Now, what do you mean by invitation to an offer? Now, you go to a shop and you see in a beautiful mannequin, those models on which clothes are hung. You go to a Levi's showroom and on a mannequin you find out a fantastic jeans. You like it. You like the color. It suits you. You like the fabric also. Size perfectly fits. So what do? You go to the shopkeeper and you say, I want to buy this jeans. So what has the seller of the goods done? He has decorated his shop in such a way that you come to the shop and you make an offer from your end to the seller to buy a particular goods. Right. That is the concept of invitation to an offer. This is the concept of invitation to an offer. Is that clear? Every one of you. Okay. Am I clear? Everyone? So the initiation of a contract begins with an offer or a proposal. An offer or a proposal is of 4 types. Okay. Now, after you make an offer, the offer has to be accepted. Another very important thing. Now, somebody says, A wants to sell his pen for rupees 100 to B. A makes an offer, that is called an offer, and B says yes to it. This yes is called acceptance. Did you understand this diagram? A makes an offer to B to sell his pen for rupees 100. This is called an offer. B says yes to the offer. That is called acceptance. Have I made myself clear to each and every one of you? Did you all understand? Okay? Is that clear, everyone? So acceptance is nothing but when the offer is accepted. An accepted proposal, when you say yes to the offer that is made, when you say a yes to the offer that is made, that is called acceptance, and an accepted proposal is called a promise. The moment you accept the proposal, you also promise that you are going to do A, B, C thing. Right? Next, important things, important concepts relating to law of contracts. Intention to contract. Now, to create a contract, something that is binding, there must be intention to enter into a contract. I'll give you an example. Suppose your father tells you, beta, if you work hard and you go to NLS Bangalore, of course you have to crack Clat to get into NLS Bangalore. Suppose you do that, I will gift you a Harley Davidson. Wow, what an offer. You say, great, Papa, great. I am going to work hard. I am going to work hard and I will get through NLS Bangalore. Fantastic. So you work hard, you burn your midnight's oil and work that hard. You get into NLS Bangalore after cracking Clat. After your trimester examination, you come back home and you tell your daddy, Daddy, Harley Davidson, where is my Harley Davidson? Your father says, get lost. Your father says, get lost. Now, my question is, can you sue your father in a court? Can you sue your father in a court? Can you do that? Tell me. Now, here is an example where parties never wanted to get into a legally binding relationship. There was no intention. There was no intention to enter into a legal obligation. Suppose tomorrow your father says, beta, if you do not disturb your sister, if you do not fight with your sister or your brother, I will buy you a dairy milk. You don't disturb your sister or your brother. You don't fight with them. Evening, your father forgets to buy you a dairy milk. Can you take your father to the court? Can you sue your father for that? No, you cannot. You just cannot. Is that clear? So, to create a contract, there must be intention between the parties to get into a legal obligation. To get into a legal obligation. Am I clear to each and every one? Okay. Moving on to the next important concept. And the next important concept is competency of parties. Who can enter into a contract and who cannot enter into a contract? Now, under the Indian Contract Act of 1872, it has been categorically mentioned that only certain people can enter into a contract. So, who can enter into a contract? People above 18. That means people below 18 cannot. People below 18, they cannot enter into a contract. Only major above 18 can enter into a contract, right? So people who are below 18 like you, most of you, can you enter into a contract? Can you enter into a contract? No, you cannot, except for essential commodities. Minors can enter into a contract for medicine, for food, for shelter, for water, basic necessity. But a minor cannot buy a car, a minor cannot buy any other things, right? Generally, minors cannot enter into a contract except for essential goods. That is the precise law. Coming back, people only if they are of sound mind, they can enter into a contract. But people who are suffering from madness or unsound mind, they cannot. So people who are below 18, they cannot enter into a contract except for essential commodities. Secondly, people who are suffering from unsoundness of mind, they cannot understand. Why do you call a person mad? Why generally do you call a person mad? Because he does not understand. Now, if you do not understand the offer, how can you accept the offer? Very simple. Right? Did you all understand? So, people below 18 cannot enter into a contract except for essential goods. People who are suffering from unsoundness of mind also cannot enter into a contract. Is that clear? Okay, moving on. Before we move on, BYJU'S Exam Prep brings to you a 100-day strategy to crack Clat 2023. How to start your preparation? All sections will be taught to you in detail along with a study plan. So guys, do not forget to join Nivedita ma'am when she brings to you the strategy, the perfect strategy to crack Clat 2023. Next, the next important thing that I'm going to talk to you about is called free consent. Now, whenever you enter into a contract, you enter into a contract by virtue of free consent. Now, what does it mean? It simply means that nobody can force you to enter into a contract. Neither can anyone stop you from entering into a contract. Now, suppose you want to go to the shop to buy a black ink pen. You want to go to a shop to buy a black ink pen. Can someone say that, no, you cannot buy a black ink pen? Can anyone say that? No, he cannot. Can someone force you to buy something which you don't want to? No. So, the law of business is the fact that people have their freedom. People have their freedom to enter into a contract. Now, there are 5 different ways: coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation and mistake, which renders a contract voidable. Coercion, use of physical force. Now, suppose you have a golden watch on your hand and I tell you that, hey, sell me your watch for rupees 100. Will you sell? No. But what do? I just place my revolver on your forehead. Now will you sell me your watch for rupees 100? Yes. Now, have you done it out of your free will? No, you haven't. So there is no free will involved. Use of physical force. Right? Use of physical force. Undue influence. If you are taking advantage of your position, just because you have a chair, you occupy an office, you are taking advantage of the position. Now, if you are using your office or your position and thereby influencing others to do what they would not do generally, undue influence. Then you have fraud, intentional deception. If you intentionally deceive someone and thereby forcing that man to enter into a contract, that is also voidable. Misrepresentation, innocent fraud. So, fraud is intentional deception, and misrepresentation is the innocent deception. And then you have mistakes. Now, in today's session, I am not going to give you a lot of examples on this, but after you download the BYJU'S Exam Prep app and you join the courses, we are going to discuss all these 5 things in detail in 1.5 hours in the course. Then we have void agreements. What are void agreements? If the object is illegal or the consideration is illegal. Let me give you an example. A tells B that he will sell an AK-47 for rupees 10 lakh. The object is illegal. The object is illegal. The object is absolutely illegal over here. Right? Am I clear? A tells B that he is going to sell his car. He is going to sell his car. So the object is legal. Can you buy and sell car? Of course. Provided B gives him 5 kg of cocaine. Cocaine. Over here the consideration is illegal. Now always remember that both the object as well as the consideration of a contract has to be legal. If either the object or the consideration is illegal, then the agreement is void, as if it does not exist in the first place. Okay. Yes, Ashwini Yadav says an example of undue influence. Okay. Suppose I am a bank manager. I am the manager of a bank and I see the Safai wala of the bank wearing a watch, very beautiful watch, gold, made up of gold, and I tell him, hey, will you sell me your watch for rupees 1,000? He says no. And what do I say? Look here, I am the manager of the bank. If you do not sell me your watch for rupees 1,000, next day you are chucked out from the job. So in that fear, he sells me that watch. Is that clear? So I am taking advantage of my position, of my office. Am I clear? Ashwini Yadav. Okay. So, yes. So this is what is a void agreement. Okay. I have already explained to you. Okay. If either the object or the consideration is illegal, then it's a void. Okay. So guys, if you are liking this session, do press the like button, do share this session, and definitely do not forget to press the bell icon. Okay. And I'm sure that most of you have already subscribed to this beautiful YouTube channel dedicated to Clat aspirants as well as other law entrance examination aspirants. Okay. Now, other void agreements are agreement to restrain someone from getting married, agreement to restrain someone from doing any kind of business, agreements in restraint of legal proceeding, and agreements which are uncertain are also void. Now, today I am not going to deal or explain to you in an absolute detailed manner of insofar as law of contracts is concerned. Today I am just discussing with you certain very basic aspects relating to the law of contracts. Okay, so friends, I hope you understood this session well. Okay, and I would love to see your comments in the comment section after the video is over, after the live class is over. Give me your comments in the comment section after the class is over, and I want each and every one of you to just press the like button and share this session with your friends who are also aspiring to become lawyers and enter law school across the country. Okay, and definitely another very important aspect insofar as law of contracts is concerned is conditional contract. Now, what is conditional contract? There are certain contracts which are dependent on what? On certain conditions. For example, I say, if you can swim across the English Channel, if you can swim across the English Channel, I will give you 10,000 rupees. So only in the event if you can swim across the English Channel, you are entitled for it. Now, that is what we call as a conditional contract. So a contract that requires a prior performance of something else. For example, a insurance contract. Okay, medical insurance. What is a medical insurance? Medical insurance means only if Mr. A falls sick, he is admitted in a hospital, whatever money he spends will be reimbursed to him. Now, first place, that means he has to fall sick, only then he will be reimbursed. Now, if he does not fall sick, can he ask for the money? Can he ask for the money? No, he cannot. So that is the concept relating to conditional contract. So insofar as your Clat law of contracts is concerned, these are the most important and the basic principles and the basic concepts that each and every one of you must have a good grasp. Okay, is that clear, everyone? Am I clear to each and everyone? Okay, so guys, do like, do comment, do share, and do subscribe to this beautiful channel. And by the way, how many of you have yet not downloaded the BYJU'S Exam Prep app? If you haven't, you are missing a lot. Download it today. Download it today. There are a lot of videos which are recorded, which are there. You can watch them. There are a lot of material available, a lot of quizzes available, a lot of mocks available. Just download the BYJU'S Exam Prep app. With this, we come to the end of this session. Thank you very much. God bless you. Stay home, stay safe, stay healthy. Have a great evening ahead. Have a great week ahead. And I wish each and every one of you all the very best. Thank you. God bless you. See you.